working my way from where I parked the truck. I just had to hike up over a steep bank, pretty steep bank, and then I'm making my way all the way to this saddle. My initial thoughts when I get in here, I mean, there's some beech that's blended in with softwood. This is typically where I find bucks bedding down when you track them. It'll either be a combination of oaks and beech, or a combination of like beech and softwood, or oaks and softwood, and they just plant themselves right maybe on the edge or even in the middle of a plot like this, because it's easy to feed. They don't have to move far. I just got in here and there's this beaten down game trail, which could be bears. It looks like there's some deer tracks in it. I'm not really sure, but it is heading in that saddle's direction. So I'm gonna make my way over there. We'll see if there's any sign. So I'm getting close to that saddle. The saddle's right up here, but look at this trail. I mean, it might even make sense just to set up on this trail alone and just hang out. It could be moose, but there's a lot of deer tracks on top of the hill. There's an old buck rub up there as well. That is a moose raking a tree. Their rut's kicked off. I think it actually runs into next month. But as you can see, there's a bull where there's got to be a hot cow in here somewhere, but a bull's been working these trees. Yeah, he's fired up. He's raking that tree. Well, it's cool to see. It's not quite. It's not. Oh, I see moose. 12 o'clock. Oh! Oh! Holy shit, it's a big one. managed to make it back to my pack. My pack right here. I got this rub over my shoulder. So I was checking these rubs out. And I'm like, wow. I'm like, okay, that's cool. At least we're seeing some sign of life around here. And then I look over my shoulder straight down this line. And there's just a bull moose staring at me. So we just had like a standoff for probably 40 minutes. They just stood still right there. And I think they're still right there. They kind of went 20 yards over to the right past this blowdown. They're just kind of hanging out in there. So I'm going to sneak my way in the direction that they came from. Head back toward the truck, see if there's any good buck sign over there. It's still real early up here. The woods start to feel desolate, like there's not a lot of new buck sign, and it's easy to get discouraged. So you gotta count these wins throughout early season. Just like yesterday, I saw this crazy pileated woodpecker. That thing was like gigantic. Today, 2 moose. I found several areas where there's turkeys, so now I know where to hunt in the spring. So we've got all these wins, just need to keep my head in the game and keep grinding so that we get to do stuff like this. But I'm going to get my pack set up again and ease my way alongside this transition line to see if I can run into a whitetail. If I don't run into any good deer sign, I'll probably get back to the truck, head home for lunch, and then try a spot that I know there's bucks in. I know there's a lot of deer in later tonight. So I'm going to try to sneak out of here. That bull moose wrecked that beech tree. You can see the marks on it. I'm sneaking around them because I don't want to freak them out. Watch me bust a whitetail out here. Another bed. Another bed. He's just waiting to breed her. It just smells like rutted up moose in here. Oh yeah. Moose digging down in. It's another bed. They must have been hanging out in this area for maybe a couple days. He's just waiting for her to get in the heat. They'll breed and he'll move on. Absolutely hate walking through this shit. But the moose love it. And sometimes you find big bucks in here too, so he's kind of got a deal. The truck, heading home for lunch. And then we're gonna regroup on the maps, figure out where it makes sense to go this afternoon. But I think the spot that I was in today, or this morning rather, was a good spot to track bucks. Not necessarily a great spot to find them hanging out in their summer range. So headed back to the house, gonna grab lunch, and then we'll see what happens this afternoon.
Now it's darker than a dungeon.
I'm fed, I'm tired, but I'm back in the truck, and I am on my way to a different property that I haven't even scouted, I haven't hunted. It's got a lot of water on it, a lot of spots that should stay pretty cool throughout the summer. I know the bucks are switching over their coats right now. You know, you see deer in their sort of red summer coat. You see them out in the field. It could be like 1 o'clock in the afternoon, noon. It's super hot. You're like, wow, I wonder why they're hanging out in the middle of the sun. Well, it's because they're not wearing their sweater weather coat, which would be what they've got going on right now. So a lot of these deer aren't hanging out in their typical summer range, if that makes sense. And that's why people sort of zero in on what they call the fall shift. And it's when these deer sort of shift over to areas that keep them cool enough so they're not overheating now that they have a new winter coat. And then also areas that are still sustaining their diet as plants start to die off now that we're in day 1 of fall. So I'm driving to this spot. We'll check it out. We'll see how it goes. The spot that I want to get to is on the other side of the property. It's a pretty long dirt road that I got to get down. It's, I guess, kind of like a class 3. And once I get to the other side of this parcel, there should be a bunch of beech up on the hill. I've been looking at winter imagery, and typically it seems like the beech hold their leaves the longest. Makes it a little bit easier to figure out what plants and canopy are sort of in that spot. So this isn't too far from our house. Just gonna get down in these woods and hopefully make it happen tonight. I know I need to. It's like we're on day 6 right now of just hunting whitetails, and I'm already starting to feel pretty tired because it's work all day, hunt all night. I gotta give some time to Carson too. So I don't know, I'm excited. We'll get out in the woods and hopefully get it done. Super small doe, fawn, and then a moose. What's that? Maybe the mother? Ooh, here we go. Got a bear paw, all the claw marks. All right, I'm excited to check this spot out. There's a nice run right there. Let's check that out. All right, that's the road I drove in on. It pretty much comes to an end. I'm gonna follow it up here. It looks like it's gonna get a little deeper than I'd wanted. I mean, these tires, they're decent, but I don't necessarily want to get too rugged. So I'm gonna throw my pack on. I'm gonna hike all the way out here. There's a nice section of power lines and clear cuts that sort of come together. There's a nice bog over here as well. I've got deer tracks, bear tracks, moose tracks. It seems like it's a good area for them. So we'll go find a good tree and get set up. Looks like a beaver's been working in here pretty aggressively. Look at this. I don't know, some of those deer tracks look pretty good. I'm gonna make my way up this trail. Circles around this bog. This bog probably has whitetail in it, and then all this stuff in here. I see him eating this in my yard all the time. There's a ton of browse in here. There could be a donkey buck. It's an old rub. He was hitting that and wrecked that tree. There's another one and another one. Possibly another, yep, and definitely another one. The wind's coming this way dropping in this way, I'd have the advantage. I just want to check this trail real quick, see if there's any fresh sign on it. If there is, I'll stay. If not, I'm going to keep going down that trail. That's a really nice buck track, 45-degree dew claw. There's that gap splayed out. That's like one of the first solid buck tracks I've seen since moving up here. And it seems like that trail goes down toward the swamp. But that buck track's coming down this trail. That's all good browse in there. We're gonna keep going. I just found some really fresh dropping. I don't know if it's a doe or a buck, but it's in a trail in between all these cuts, which is actually right next to that bog that I parked up on top of. So I've got an arrow nocked, and I'm just gonna move slow through this. I guess it's an old clear cut. See behind me, it's all that vegetation that they like to eat. So I'm gonna call a few times to try to disarm them as I move in. See if I can't get a shot on one. Back in the truck. I'm gonna go try another spot real quick because I just did a loop around that swamp, and usually like once you get into sort of like the backside where it's quieter, there's always buck rubs. I get in there and there's nothing. There's fresh doe sign, but I mean it's only 350. So I did see some big buck tracks back in there, but I mean for early season I don't have any information to get on these deer unless I'm seeing sign that, you know, they're actively sort of in and around the spot that I'm hunting. And I didn't get that at this past spot. So I'm moving on. I'm gonna go check up the street here to see if there's better, I don't know, feed for them, something. I need something here because all I can find are moose and black bears right now. This is the perfect tree setup, except for this piece of shit right here. I'm gonna have to literally lean out and draw. But I'm well covered, and that's why I want to stay here. Back in the tree. the success chances were pretty low, so I'm like, let me just get out of here. Started thinking about some spots to go to. I've jumped 3 deer in here this summer, and every time I come back, they're right here. So I'm gonna try calling until it's dark. Every now and again, I'm gonna hit the bleed can. It's still a little early to be doing that, but even if I call a doe in and can get my first deer on my bow, I think that's a good start. I'm on a pretty heavy game trail right to my left, and then I've jumped those deer about 10 yards, 10 to 15 yards to my left, right in that tree line. So I'm excited to see if it pays off. I'm not far from where that really big buck is, and I haven't got him on camera since I last saw him. So it's possible he's shifted this way. I don't think he'd be in here, but just watching other people and their videos on YouTube. I mean, some of these guys will be looking for a buck, and then all of a sudden, it's right next to the road. And that's what I'm doing tonight. We'll see what happens. Something's coming. Son of a bitch. Did they see me? About, I want to say like 25 minutes ago, I had 2 does go flying by like 45 yards. I never would have got a shot, not even with a rifle. And I'm trying to figure out what went wrong there. And for a little bit, the wind was swirling. So I try to get in the woods before the wind starts going every which direction, or after, I should say. And it's just kind of how it happens here in the mountains. And tonight it was bad. I mean, it was going at my 12, at my 6. It was blowing into the area that I didn't want it to. And I mean, just after, maybe 10 minutes after the swirl stopped, I hear some branches breaking. And so I quickly get the camera ready, I get the GoPro on, I get the camera set up, and I see 2 does go flying by. I have no idea what went wrong. I mean, there's no way they saw me. They were in some super thick brush they wouldn't have been able to see out here, nor would they have been looking up here. And I mean, it's possible that they smelled me, but I set myself up so that once the wind stops, my thermal drops into this bottom, which wouldn't have been over there because they were coming off the top of this knob that I found they hang out on. I can still hear stuff breaking out there. I'm wondering if maybe some more does are following. Super eventful day.